then we started working and I was like, whoa, this is a lot of work.
Yeah.
You know, documentary, it takes a long time.
Yeah.
You're working with a lot of different mediums, and then you don't really always have as much money to do things. So you have to be really creative.
What were the average budgets that you guys were working with?
It just depends. You know, you can make a documentary with $5,000.
Yeah.
If you're
the one shooting it.
Yeah. If you're the one shooting it, you take it deferred pay. No, like shorts, I'd say at that time, I don't really remember because it was like maybe 6 years ago, but you could do one with 50 to 100.
Yeah. Yeah.
You could do, but it depends on what you want. You know, we were doing stuff in VR. It's always going to be slightly more expensive.
Yeah.
And now, you know, you can do maybe a cool documentary where you want to expedite it pretty quickly for probably about like 1.3 million and have it be consistent with what you see probably on Netflix or see on streamers. Don't quote me though, because I haven't sat in a financing documentary film meeting in a week, which means it's probably changed.
Yeah.
But what I love to tell people about docs is like, if you have something and you want to work on it, just start filming. We have so many different resources now. You can find a way to find the right tools, use your iPhone, whatever it is, because then you can show people, hey, this is what I would like to do. Yeah. It's really hard if you don't have any visuals. I'm like, this sounds really interesting, but what does it look like? It can just be a better avenue. That's how I feel, but that's how I receive information. Some people, they can just see a one pager and that's enough. For me, I'm like, what does this look like? It doesn't need to be a fancy thing, just so I can get a piece, like a little piece of them.
Yeah, and a piece of them. And that's when we're like building decks and stuff for people. It's like, how do you bring the creative so that the exec or investor doesn't have to use their imagination? If you can fully communicate that, but also how can you, based on using similar titles or like data from the past, to show that it has a high return on investment.
Exactly.
The business side of things. If you can bring those together and bridge the gap, then you come in, then you're more likely to get people on board with you.
100%.
Because you've done all the thinking. They don't have to. They can just say yes or no.
It's like, they're like, wow, I'm aligned with this from an ethos perspective, and this can be executed with something as simple as money. Yeah. No problem. You know, I have that. Excuse me. But I think that one thing that is cool, and I see you do this with everything, is you have to have thought through every single question that anyone could ask you. You know, like, even if you don't have the right answer or there's no such thing, be able to say confidently, you know, we've thought this through. We won't know till X phase, or there's no crime in being like, we don't know. But we've thought about it at least.
Yeah, I had a meeting with an investor last week, and he was like, "How do you see this being $1 billion franchise? Because the billion, you don't want to just throw the billion dollar word in there just so they're like intrigued, because like you never want to overpromise. And say like, oh, the return on investment is like, you're gonna make so much money. It's like, well, how? But because I had done all my due diligence and thought everything through, I was able to communicate how we saw that happening. And then because he asked me that question later on, I was like, I want to strengthen this even more. And that's when I started bringing, when I told you earlier downstairs, the Broadway aspect of it. I was like, oh, that's another component that I didn't even think of that really fits this. So yeah, think through everything and jump in and make something.